I really thought I had it. There we go. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the most interactive show on the interweb, wrestling-wise, that is. Welcome to Wrestling with Omer. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful night. I hope you've all had a wonderful week. I know it's been a minute since I've seen many of you or heard from many of you. You guys know the drill of this show. Be sure to put your question statement in the chat. We'll talk about it. And if you want to prioritize your question or statement, there's this new feature I got on the channel, called a super chat. You could leave a super, or as I call them, a duper chat. Leave a duper chat if you please, to guarantee your question or statement getting read out on the air. We will try to get through as many regular chats as we can, as we always do, but also help out the channel, help us grow. I'm gonna show for money. That's what I do. But we got a lot to talk about. We got the potential return of Stone Cold Steve Austin, as rumored, speculated. This is a wrestling podcast. We do dabble in rumor and in innuendo, but there's a speculation of Steve Austin returning. I'll talk about how real or not real that might be. We're also gonna be talking about the emotional tribute show that AEW put on for MGT says, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you're clickbaiting. This is not, okay. This, in the realm of wrestling YouTube, my friend, this is fair clickbait use. Fair use clickbait, I should say. And this actually doesn't even come close to clickbait. I try very hard to make titles and thumbnails that are engaging, but not like straight up lies. This, as crazy as it might seem, is not out of the realm of possibility, because I'll go into that in a second. MGT out here making me jump the gun on what I want to talk about, but what I really want to talk about, obviously, is what you guys want to talk about. So leave your questions or statements in the chat. We got Liam in the chat says, light it up, light it up, light it up, light it up tonight. Am I singing that wrong? I probably am. Anyway, welcome, Liam. Always good to see you, my friend. But we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the Royal Rumble is this weekend. And right now, I would say that we have two main contenders for winning the Rumble. Right now, there are two people who are the most logical choice to win the Royal Rumble match on the men's side. You have either Sami Zayn, who will go in as the ultimate underdog, who has gone in and had this great feud, this great story, I should say, with the bloodline and everything. And you could have him being crowned the most lovable babyface in WWE history, all that jazz, right? You could have him go and be crowned as the champion, be the one to defeat Roman Reigns. Or you have the odds-on favorite, in my opinion, in Cody Rhodes. Liam says, the AJ Lee theme song. Oh, you mean, light it up into the night. Let's light it up into the fire and let's light it up and light it up like a press conference from Phil Brooks. All right, cool. I got my CM Punk reference in, and now the stands will harass me in the comment section. Great. MGT says, I keep saying that this is that The Rock is gonna be at the Royal Rumble, or at the Royal Rumble, but not in the Royal Rumble. I mean, there's always a possibility he could be backstage. So here's the thing. I think that, in my opinion, and again, I could be wrong, but I very rarely am. I don't think that The Rock is going to be wrestling at the Royal Rumble. I don't think that The Rock is going to be wrestling at WrestleMania. It does not seem like that's the case. I think that both from what we've heard and given what we've heard, I also think that because recently The Rock has not had a lot of big PR wins, and I legitimately don't think that losing in a match to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania is going to do him any good PR-wise. And I understand some fake wrestling and all that stuff, but you know what the casual audience are going to see? They're going to see The Rock getting laid out on his ass, because pro wrestling isn't just a movie, right? It's like this, it operates in this weird realm of fiction reality or realistic fiction, or whatever you want to put it as, right? So again, it's hard. It is very hard for me to see that happening. Also, considering he does have some prior commitments. One person that could be in the Royal Rumble match, I will say, is John Cena. John Cena could be in the match. And I know like he also has a movie commitment, but you could see him do a quick spot if anything. But one guy who I will talk about at length in just a second, and who obviously is operating this thumbnail, which is one of the big reasons that I'm sure you're all here, is Stone Cold. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about Stone Cold. So, Stone Cold Steve Austin has been releasing a lot of videos lately of him training, of him getting into shape. There now came that report that he was pitched for facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. There was also a pitch that had him facing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So, given the fact that they're talking to Stone Cold, given the fact that Stone Cold's releasing all these training videos, which is similar to what he did last year around the same time, right? Or around WrestleMania time. Around WrestleMania time, we saw Austin just like, it's weirdly like showing videos of him training, getting back into shape. I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility for him to do one last Rumble spot. Do I think he wins? That's a different story. I think that right now, honestly, percentage-wise, it is one of those things where it's like, out of the 30 men that are in it, I think it's like a 90% chance Cody Rhodes is going to win it. I think there's an 8% chance that it's going to be Sami Zayn. And I think there's a 1% chance it's going to be Stone Cold. What does that leave? 1% left over. I think divide that up among the other 27 people that are going to be in that Royal Rumble match. And that's not 1%. Like, I mean, is there a chance that Braun Breaker comes up, destroys, victimizes, and brutalizes everybody in the match? Sure. I don't see that as a realistic possibility. But is there a chance Seth Rollins does that? Sure. But I think he's embroiled in this United States title feud, and I don't see him jumping back into the I don't see him jumping back in to like the title picture, the WWE Universal Heavyweight Undisputed Cool Ranch Dorito belt picture. I don't see that happening. We got a few chats here. I see MGT saying, I have that on my playlist, the AJ Lee theme song. It's a great song. Just light it up and light it up and na. Light it up and do. Just light it up. I eat muffins and I get really angry at press conferences. Anyway, that was a bad. We will do better on that. I promise you. We will do better. We got Liam in the chat saying, my fantasy booking for the Royal Rumble, not only marks the end of Sami Zayn in the bloodline, but the bloodline as a whole. I can't wait to hear this, Liam. We got the Wyatt Rabbit in the chats. The Wyatt Rabbit, oh dear. Saying, who's been wearing the White Rabbit colors, LA Knight? Zion in the chat says hi. Hello, Zion. White Rabbit also says, remember the White Rabbit wasn't canceled. It was saved for the huge live event. Y'all talking about the Fiend when in reality, the White Rabbit is the Bray Wyatt rebirth. It is. I think it was established. The White Rabbit project was successful in that it got so many people way more excited about Bray Wyatt's return than otherwise would be. Even the people that hated Bray Wyatt were excited about it. White Rabbit in chat says, Seth Rollins versus Stone Cold would be a very interesting build-up. Could you imagine? That would be all Seth Rollins building up, just going, oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin. More like Stone Cold your career. I'm Seth Rollins freaking. God save me from those promos. We got MGT in the chat saying, talking about Stone Cold possibly winning the Rumble is a complete waste of time. I never said that he was winning. Again, I gave him a 1% chance of winning. But at the same time, I give him more of a chance than I do the 27 other people that are going to be in the match outside of Sammy and Cody. That's just my opinion. And look, It's a beautiful part of pro wrestling discourse, right? Or what should be pro wrestling discourse. And what I'm genuinely trying to change. Just because someone has a take about pro wrestling that you might not necessarily agree with or whatever, it's not the end of the world, guys. At the end of the day, it's television, right? It's television. We can agree, we can disagree. Some people hated Jinder Mahal's title reign. Some people loved it. You know what? If you didn't like it and it wasn't for you, I totally get it. It be like that, though. I liked it. Well, I like parts of it. Anyway, Wyatt Rabbit and Jazz, there's a lot of people saying that Jay White, if that's the case, then Carl Anderson, Finn Balor, and AJ Styles have been talking with Switchblade since Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, I don't even think it's those guys. I think Switchblade has probably had discussions with Triple H since Wrestle Kingdom. I promise he's been talking to WWE because he is one of the best free agents there is out there. Wyatt Rabbit likes my Seth Rollins impersonation. Thank you. Thank you. MGT in the chat says Jay White is not going to be at the Rumble. Don't count it out. Again, that's the thing. Like, don't count out Jay White being in the Rumble. I don't know. I think we would have heard rumblings of that. We would have heard something about that. I feel like if it was close, because especially in WWE, those leaks tend to come out a lot easier than or a lot more deliberately. I would say, like, a lot more purposefully than others. MGT says, honestly, LA Knight has been the star of the feud in Bray Wyatt. I agree. LA Knight's promos are weirdly holding this together for me. And again, I want to say this loud and clear. Bray Wyatt, in my opinion, as a wrestling mind, is one of the smartest wrestling minds there's been in a very long time. And he's creatively, I thought the stuff that he was doing with the Firefly Funhouse and the Fiend was some of the best television WWE had in years. The Firefly Funhouse match is the only thing really from the pandemic I can go back and watch and truly enjoy. In my opinion, it's better than the Ultimate Deletion or the Final Deletion. It's better than all the deletions except for the whatever. I forgot which one it was. There was one that was better. Okay, it's the second greatest cinematic match of all time because the best cinematic match of all time was when I forgot who it was. It was Delete or Decay. That's what it was. It was the Matt Hardy Delete or Decay one. And oh my goodness, guys, that was the funniest. That was the best. That was the best. I'm so sorry. So Delete, for those of you who were wondering, Delete or Decay was a match that happened in Impact Wrestling between the Decay, which was this faction of, it was Abyss, Crazy Steve, and hold up, we're gonna look this up just to make sure I'm right. Yep. So Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and I believe it was Abyss in there. So you had those three against the Hardy family, right? And it was hilarious. At one point, Rosemary spits mist at Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy inhales said mist and spurts it back out into Rosemary's face. And it's like one of the best spots in wrestling history. I don't care what anyone says. So I absolutely love that. That being said, Firefly Funhouse match was with John Cena was one of the best things I've ever seen. I loved it. I loved the breaking down of it. I love the psychology of it. Everything. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are like, pro wrestling shouldn't have spooky gimmicks and blah. I'm like, it can. It can. I tend to like that stuff. Trust me, I don't like it when it's shit. I don't like it when it's crap. But I do like it when it's good. And that, my friends, was very good in my humble opinion. Liam is giving his booking of the Royal Rumble. Let's go. Let's get this. So Liam in the chat says, Part 1, Sammy, Drew, Edge, Jay, and the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes are left. Number 30 is... And then I gotta be honest, Roman Reigns has the best final boss music in pro wrestling history. It is so dope. Anyway, number 30 is Roman Reigns. He marches out and eliminates Drew, Edge, and the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. What? He then leans on the rope, grabs the mic, and says, "Final test, Sammy." Liam in the chat says part 2. So it's Sammy, Jay, and Roman. Roman, leaning against the rope, instructs Jay to do the same. He then tells Sammy, "Eliminate me and leave the bloodline, or eliminate Jay and stay." But then, a super kick from Jay to eliminate Roman Reigns. And Liam says, Sammy and Jay duke it out. Jay wins the Rumble, shakes Sammy's hands, but then sets his eyes on main event Jey Uso. You kind of sold me a ticket here with that one, Liam. I like that booking. Here's the one thing that's wrong with it. Roman has not stated at any point that he wants to enter the Royal Rumble match. If they had even hinted towards that, I feel like that would have been a cool thing, but they haven't even hinted towards that, so I don't know. MGT in the chat says Supernatural is a big part of pro wrestling. I'm glad you agree. I understand the people who are like, oh, it's a sport and all that stuff, but I'm like, at the end of the day, it is entertainment. Like you got to have a bit of a variety. That's how you bring in people like me. Like I like funny, corny stuff in pro wrestling sometimes. I don't like it all to be corny. I don't like Vince McMahon's booking of WWE, but like you got to have like a little bit of corny here, a lot of bit of seriousness here, and then some stories to string it all together, and you got a happy me. We got Wyatt Rabbit saying, Omer, did you hear the rumor about Nia Jax? Oh, dear. Yes, I did. So rumor has it that Nia Jax is slated to be one of those surprise entrants in the Women's Royal Rumble match, which, by the way, I've not talked about, so I apologize. We'll talk about the women's match in just a little bit. But, yeah, buddy, look, Nia Jax is I'm sure she's a wonderful person. I'm sure she's very nice and all that stuff. Oh boy. I don't want to see it. And yeah, I'm not for me. One of those things, not for me. You got White Rabbit saying part 1, Edge versus Cross. Oh, that's your booking. 1 second. I'll get to your booking in just a second. Let me get to MGT real quick. MGT says, pro wrestling is not a sport. It's entertainment. That's why Vince nailed it by calling it sports entertainment. Yeah, but you could say the same thing about something like figure skating. It's not a sport, but it kind of is. I would put pro wrestling in a very similar category. Like, it's a performance at the end of the day, but there is definitely sport involved in it. And there are techniques to have good pro wrestling matches and bad pro wrestling matches. I mean, again, that's why I try not to get bogged down in the differences between sports entertainment and professional wrestling. I do think, though, that there's a difference between what Vince marketed sports entertainment as and what people sometimes perceive it to be. But that's a story for another day. MGT, don't get me started on Vince right now. You know how I feel. Liam in the chat says, main event, Jey Uso in the Mania main event with the help of Sami Zayn takes 1 belt from Roman. Ooh, I like this. White Rabbit says, it's like saying dodgeball isn't a sport. I mean, like, I hear you there. I hear you there. We got Film Nation says, listen, it's simple. I'm going with Cody and Rhea Ripley. And that's about it. Nobody else will win the Rumble. That's just these two to win. Mark my words. By the way, Mark My Words is a great name for a pro wrestling podcast. I just realized that. Film Nation, a wrestling fan, feel free to use that. Mark My Word. That is an awesome name for a pro wrestling podcast. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think for the men's side, I think it's like 90% Cody for me, and then like 8% Sami Zayn. On the women's side, I'd give the edge to Rhea Ripley over Becky Lynch, but very slightly. Very slightly. I also think Bayley should be in the conversation for that as well, but I think it's really down to those three. We got Wyatt Rabbit saying, Omer, say happy birthday to Sasha Banks. Is it Sasha Banks' birthday? Happy birthday, Sasha. Sorry. Happy birthday. Money. money, money, money. I love. Here's the thing: a lot of people were clowning her for her new New Japan song. Here's my thing. Here's my thing. So I did not like Mercedes Monet's New Japan song until I listened to it for about 8 minutes for a row. I was just like, let me see, because like sometimes the first time you hear something, it doesn't hit, and then like you have to hear it again, and I'm just like, there's got to be a way for me to like, and then like I got it. Like eventually, like now I'm like, money. I should by the way just do a show where I just do like wrestling, where I very, very badly sing wrestling theme songs. But y'all gonna have to pay me for that. I don't know. Well, evidently not. Anyway, continuing going through some of these chats. I'm having a fun time. I hope you guys are too. We got MGT saying Jay should not dethrone Roman. I actually wouldn't mind that. I think there's a story to be told, because remember, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns is a match that we have not seen in front of wrestling fans. We saw it during the pandemic, but I do think that that could be interesting. I think there's stories to be told there, you know. Liam says Jay never forgot that I quit, man. He never forgot. He never forgot. Film Nation Wrestling Fan says, why, thank you. I appreciate that. Actually made my day. Thank you. Oh, well, you're welcome, my friend. Always good to spread positive vibes. Yeah, happy birthday to the legit boss, Sasha Banks. No, money. It's Mercedes money. Yeah, White Rabbit saying, what's your opinion on Mickie James wanting Sasha Banks in in Impact Wrestling? Yes. Yeah, it's awesome. Cool. Having Mercedes Moné on national TV, first of all, if Impact's able to get Mercedes Moné, I mean, more power to them. Like, their ratings are going to triple, which means they're going to catch up to Real Take Wrestling by that point, because nobody watches that show. Live, I should say. Live. I do dabble in my Impact. But, no, in all seriousness, I mean, it'd be great for the company. I just don't know if the finances are necessarily there, but I think it would be cool if Mercedes Moné just kind of like did her own thing and like freelance basically, and just like wrestled everyone everywhere. That would be such a cool vibe. White Rabbit saying Jey Uso versus Jay White would be interesting. The battle of Jay. Who's the real Jay? Oh, we all know who the real Jay is. R.I.P. Jay Briscoe. We're always roasting Impact Wrestling. No. It's all in good fun. It's whenever I roast someone, it's all in good fun, right? Like, except for Matt Cardona, he's a jobber. Film Nation Wrestling Fan says, actually, what would be a dope match for former WWE stars fighting in the end each other in Impact? I'm down for that. Yeah, Mickie James versus Mercedes Money. Yeah, give me that. There is talk about Mickie James also possibly doing another run in this Royal Rumble. That would be cool. I just remember. I mean, my reactions are live. They're not on this channel. They're because we used to do a lot of wrestling content over at youtube.com/Real Take Sports. We don't anymore. But subscribe there for all your sports needs. But I remember I was doing the live stream for the Royal Rumble. And when I heard hardcore country, I geeked. I was like, Mickie freaking James. Let's go, baby. Awesome moment. She got to hold up the Impact title. Gosh darn it. And then they jobbed her out. Rosemary versus Nikki Cross. That could be fun. Ricochet versus Trey Miguel. Please, Triple H. MGT says, Jey Uso is great, but Roman has already beaten him before, and not to mention he's a tag team guy. What's going to happen to Jimmy? I mean, I genuinely believe Jey Uso eventually will be a singles guy. I think Jimmy Uso has that potential too, but Jey Uso has like I think he has star power as a singles act, and I think he will eventually like go into that. It's very similar to Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. Like I think Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford will split up eventually. And in my opinion, Montez Ford is like a guy who, the second you do that, have him win the Rumble, have him win Money in the Bank, put the title on him, strap him up, and he's going to be a superstar, right? Angelo Dawkins has a lot of great potential as a singles act, but it's like one of those things of like, people mention him like in the same light as Montez Ford, and they're like, oh no, well, he's not as good as Montez Ford, therefore he's not going to work out as a singles guy. No, that's not how it works. And I think it's the same principle here with Jey Uso. MGT says Sasha Banks is not going to go to Impact. Here's the thing. I don't think she's ever going to sign full-time with Impact. Could she do a spot here or there, or a match here or there, or build up to a big match? I certainly do think so. So don't write that off completely, but I do think it's in the cards for her to eventually do a match in Impact Wrestling, some way, shape, or form. Film Nation Wrestling Fans says, so let me say this and get this out there. Here we go. Part 1 of 2. Oh, dear. By the way, did I read Wyatt Rabbit? Did I read your... Oh, God. See, this is why y'all got to leave me money so I can remember. No, I'm just kidding. Well, no. Leave a super chat if you can. We got Wyatt Rabbit's here. Okay, so this is Wyatt Rabbit doing his thing. Part 1, Edge versus Karrion Kross, as Samoa Joe likes to say. Plus Jay White and Balor versus the OC. Charlotte Flair versus Naomi. Gigi Dolan versus Liv Morgan. And Roxanne Perez versus Bayley. These are Mania predictions? We got Film Nation Wrestling Fan saying, I think if Bray Wyatt was never released from WWE and never lost to Randy Orton at WrestleMania... And no, I'm not talking about the other WrestleMania when Bray Wyatt lost the championship to Orton. Oh, God. He's lost to Randy Orton twice in Mania. Jesus. Oh, my gosh. He's lost to Randy twice. Not once, but twice. Gotta make it thrice. Oh, dear. What a tangled web we've woven. Film Nation says, I'm not sure if he was champion. He was champion. All I'm saying is, if you want to have him beat a WrestleMania, Bray Wyatt would have been very unstoppable. They really messed up this last time. Like, the first time they beat... Okay, that was bad. That was really bad. And it stopped a lot of Bray Wyatt's momentum. It killed The Fiend. Bray Wyatt losing to Randy Orton at WrestleMania 38, 37, killed The Fiend. They had him go out there, had this great resurrection after getting burned alive, and then my G goes out there and gets jobbed out. Bray Wyatt then goes out there and gets jobbed out because Alexa Bliss had black goo running down her face, had black goo running down her head, and Randy Orton hits an RKO, and this immortal being, this demon that come back to life, that survived a fire and literally resurrected before us, gets beaten down 1, 2, 3 from an RKO and a Jack-in-a-Box trick. Like, what are we doing? That killed The Fiend. It killed it. Like, any momentum, any seriousness that had as a threat, done that day. It's a damn shame, too. Because it was really good. It was really good. A lot of people, myself included, were really enjoying The Fiend. God, darn it, Vince McMahon. On top of being a terrible human being. Like, Jesus. Anyway, MGT in the chat says, it's going to be Charlotte versus Naomi. And Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. Film Nation Wrestling Fan says, and Alexa Bliss turning evil, mark my words, wasn't interested in it. I gave it a little bit of a try, but don't get me wrong, it just didn't work for me. You got MGT saying Alexa Bliss took the Fiend's power when she betrayed him. Like, okay, and here's the thing. Stuff like that is like, that's what makes like the goofy supernatural stuff in pro wrestling look bad. That and red lights. I hate red lights in pro wrestling. They should be banned. That should be like never allowed in pro wrestling ever. Red lights are death in pro wrestling. Like, you want to talk about the Fiend and his Hell in the Cell match? Finn Balor Remember when Pumpkin Boy Finn Balor like resurrected in that match at Extreme Rules in 2021 against Roman Reigns, and he got up and his music was playing and it was so awesome. And then the ropes broke and there was no explanation for it. It's like literally one of the worst spots in pro wrestling history. Oh man. This is not even like, this is just a rant now. This is me ranting. Guys, by the way, I have not done this for 30 minutes. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video, stream, or whatever is released. We got you covered, shorts, news updates, reaction videos, all that stuff. Subscribe, people. Film Nation Wrestling Fan says, I feel like you're me out on this. You're me out on this one. I think Bray Wyatt wanted to use Alexa Bliss to defeat Randy Orton, but they messed it up. I mean, technically, this should have been a sign for Randy to save Alexa. They just should have had it. I liked what they were doing, right? I like what they were doing in that the overarching like story that Bray Wyatt was telling with the Fiend was, this is like the dark place I have to go to defeat my demons. I literally have to become a demon to defeat my demons. Because who was he going after? All the people that he had been losing to in the past. John Cena was like was one of his first big opponents as Bray Wyatt, or as the Fiend, excuse me. And he defeated him. Then he turns his attention to Braun Strowman. Then he turns his attention to Randy Orton, who betrayed him and all that stuff. Like, there was an overarching story with The Fiend that worked. And it's why people like me put up with all the BS that they were doing with The Fiend. Until we just couldn't. And it's what The Fiend to me is like one of the, like it is from a storyline perspective, and it is like one of the saddest like stories, because the potential was all there, the vision was there, and we saw like all these flashes of greatness from it, but it was just, oh God. Film Nation Wrestling Fan says, also, the funny part is Alexa Bliss had dreadlocks, and I thought the back of my mind they were making her a hippie gimmick. It would have been the best comedy. Oh dear, no. MGT says, let's be realistic. Roman versus Austin in a Saudi crown jewel. Saudi Mania. Saudi Mania. Could you imagine? You think you're special. You do. Goodness, guys. Oh, man. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. If you can, please leave a super chat. It's the best way to get your comment or question read out on the air and support the channel as well. Yeah, I mean, so that's like the Royal Rumble. I will say this. I'll do a prediction video before the Rumble itself happens. I do think, though, that it's one of those weird things, right? Because I'm going to be honest with y'all. My brain and everything, it all signs point to Cody. Like, Cody is the odds-on favorite for a reason. It works from every perspective possible. He's going to win. As a fan, though, as a fan who's been watching and keeping up with the product, I want Sammy to win. And I don't care. And I don't care how unrealistic it is. I don't care what. From a storyline perspective, you cannot say that this dude shouldn't be a favorite to win. And you cannot say that it doesn't make sense for him to be one of the people to defeat Roman Reigns. It is just, it's all there, in my opinion. But I don't think that's where they're gonna go. I don't think that's the direction they're gonna go. And again, they never expected it to get over as well as it has. And that Raw 30 segment is an all-timer. like the trial of Sami Zayn is truly an all-timer. But we'll see what happens. And I know Kevin, they're gonna Sami Zayn teaming up with his former best friend Kevin Owens. I've seen it too much. I've just seen it too much. The Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn thing. I've just seen it too much. I'm good for now. I'm good. MGT says Uncle Howdy is gonna play a part in Alexa and Bianca's match, and afterwards, Alexa is gonna go even darker. Obviously, Bianca's got to retain. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they get the belt off of Bianca. You know what's gonna be interesting in a few years? Bianca Belair's heel turn. When Bianca Belair turns heel eventually, because it happens to everyone, no matter how great of a babyface you are, no matter how great you are with the kids, no matter how energetic and charismatic you are, and she's got the best smile in pro wrestling, in my opinion, most infectious smile in pro wrestling, in my opinion. Eventually, she's going to turn heel. Eventually, she's going to backstab someone. She's going to do the bad thing that has everyone booing her. And that dynamic is going to be such a switch that it's going to capture people's attention, and it's going to be up to WWE to take advantage of it. It's going to be up to WWE to do the right thing and steer it in the right direction. I don't know. I'm definitely interested in whenever that does eventually happen, because it will. It happens to everyone. Yeah. But, guys, we are heading down the home stretch. We'll give it a few more minutes here on this live stream. Again, I've enjoyed this. This is Wrestling with Omer. Be sure to go over to youtube.com/Real Take Wrestling for all your wrestling-related needs if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Also, be sure to leave a comment. Also be sure, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcast platform, to leave a 5-star review and subscribe as well. And for you guys in the chat, for you guys watching this on a delay, first of all, welcome. And just be sure to hit that like button and support the channel. Watch our videos. I got a bunch of great content. You guys, I have a vlog where I went to Mindy's Bakery in Chicago where I tried a muffin, and you guys get to see the impact that muffin had on me. It was a very profound impact. That was our holiday special. It was also our 2,000 subscriber special. And I say this as we are very close to getting 3,000 subscribers on the channel. We're just 40 subs away from 3,000, so tell your friends and all that jazz. But we'll get there eventually. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, I forgot the other big thing that I was supposed to talk about, because it's a very important thing, and that is Jay Briscoe. Last night, AEW had one of the most emotional and heartwarming tributes I've ever seen. And I'm not going to do the thing where I compare it to other tribute shows or whatever. All I know is the moment itself of Mark Briscoe coming down the aisle with both belts, just with the infectious energy that he had a great match with Jay Lethal, an excellent match, a match that his brother would have been proud of. And then the moment afterwards where he's like in the ropes, he looks at the camera, tells his family to keep their heads up high, and then he says, Jamin, I love you, man. And he just goes back and has his arm raised, man. Like it made me shed a tear. It was one of the most heartwarming moments and gut-wrenching moments as well in pro wrestling that I've seen in a long time. And I don't know what it was specifically. Like, the second they cut, and this is me being 100% real, y'all can think I'm faking it. I don't care. The second they cut to the entrance ramp and we saw all of those people come out and clap for Mark Briscoe and in honor of Jay, tears. It was just tears running. I was crying. And y'all can think I'm a baby. Y'all can say whatever you want about it. Pro wrestling is an emotional release and a distraction for many. We all have our reasons for watching it, and sometimes it just gets you. It just gets you because it's real. It's real. Jay Briscoe was one of the best pro wrestlers there was for the past 20 years, and he's no longer here. And his brother went out there and had an excellent match and got to have that moment like this right here. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care. Kurt Angle comes back. Stone Cold comes back, wins at WrestleMania. I don't care what happens. Nothing is going to defeat this moment for me. This moment is my pro wrestling moment of the entire year. You could have Brock Lesnar and Walter have like a slap fest and destroy each other. This is my moment of the year. Because someone who has a brother, as someone who like can relate to that relationship, it would destroy me if that happened to my brother. And then the courage that Mark Briscoe showed was awesome. We got MGT saying it was so sad to see. Yeah. Go watch that, guys, if you haven't already done so. Like, and if you got Honor Club, definitely go check out some of Jay Briscoe's matches. Like, I know I'm gonna, like, tonight. Probably gonna watch that match he had with. Anyway, whatever. Film Nation Wrestling Fan says AEW Dynamite was a very good episode. MGT falls back saying outside of the tribute stuff, the show wasn't really all that. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I thought that there were some things that were a little off. Like, I like the Hangman promo. Wheeler Yuta just kind of being there and be like, hey, I'm right here. Like, it was kind of weird. I wasn't a huge fan of the Acclaimed Ass Boys segment, honestly. Like, there were a few things on the show I didn't necessarily like, but, man, there were some things that I thought were really good. I thought Brian Cage versus Bryan Danielson was good. The angle I thought they shot was really good with Takeshita coming out and saving him. So, I mean, there are things. Darby Allin versus Buddy Matthews, was A1. I loved it. I loved the Darby Allin thing. I liked the Joe thing. I thought it was a good episode. And so did many wrestling fans, right? Because this Dynamite was the highest rated Dynamite as far as viewership since October. We saw them reach 1 million viewers for the first time since October. They got a 0.32, I believe. Yes, a 0.32 in the key demo. So, yeah, I mean, look, like, again, it's wrestling. You guys we can all disagree on like what we prefer and whether or not we think something's a good show. But I think we can all agree, like, that moment, like, right there, perfect. Like, just perfect, right? MGT says, I have a brother and he's older than me by 10 years. Yeah. And again, it's like one of those things, like, you really think about, man. Like, yeah, that's what he's going through. Like, he lost someone he's known for his entire life. Film Nation Wrestling Fan says, definitely RIP to Jay Briscoe, RIP to Jay Briscoe, even though I never heard of him personally. I've been told he was a really good wrestler and a really good wrestler. Yeah, he was. I mean, and again, I think it's been like, I don't want to add on to this, right? Because I think it's a very important part of the Jay Briscoe story, but it shouldn't define the Jay Briscoe story. And I think it's unfortunate that that's kind of becoming the case, that what he said 10 years ago in his lowest moment is being used to judge him or is being used to create the narrative around him, right? And I'm not going to talk about it at length. You guys know, people know what happened, right? I just think for someone who legitimately bettered himself as a person, as a man, and looked inside and then did everything that he did, and genuinely changed and understood why that was wrong. I think it's powerful. I genuinely think we should be doing that. And that shouldn't define who Jay Briscoe was. Jay Briscoe, above being a wrestler, above all the controversy, above all that, this was a dude who loved his family. Like, if you guys want to know who the real Jay Briscoe is, go watch that video where he's like doing that dance routine with his daughter. Like, it's one of the coolest things. If you want to know who the real Jay Briscoe is, watch like the videos he has with his family, with Mark, and like in the backyard and the farm. Like, he's like, it's like, man, that's who Jay Briscoe was. Like he and if you from all accounts, he seemed to be one of the coolest and most down to earth and nice, heartwarming wrestlers there was. And it's weird, right? And I know I look weird because I'm like cracking up or whatever. Pro wrestling is so weird, right? Because it's a weekly show, so we're so used to seeing these people on our screens. And we read so much about their lives, and we're so into it, and we're fans, right? When one of them passes away, it's this weird thing of like, I never knew this person directly, or I never knew this person, you know, on a one-on-one basis, obviously, but you knew, like, you knew them, you know. Like, it's this weird thing. I discussed this when Brody Lee passed away a few years ago. You you knew, like, I knew who Brody Lee was, even though he didn't know who I was, or any of that, right? And there is a sadness that comes with that, and because the person who you've been following their entire career, or keeping up with, just isn't there anymore, and it's real, and then the emotion is real, and the emotion on everyone's faces is real. Like, it's weird, but I also think in a weird way it's beautiful. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I'm whatever. I don't care. It's real to me, damn it. We got MGT saying, I've watched that video. There's no way it can't get you, even if you didn't know who Jay Briscoe was. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you watch, I think, yeah, the AEW put out a tribute video, like a 2-minute tribute video to Jay Briscoe, and it's definitely a tearjerker. Film Nation Wrestling says, it's okay, man. As wrestlers, the matter which wrestlers you like, we always got to show honor and respect to the person who loves the industry. Absolutely. Yes, what I heard about the news of Brody Lee was a lie. I was sad, not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Brody Lee thing also, it hit at me in a weird way. And I mean, again, it's part of life, man. It's part of life, but it's unfortunate when it does happen, obviously. So yeah, there we go. We'll see what happens this Sunday though at the Royal Rumble. I know that we've all like had the predictions and all that stuff. I mean, it's gonna be one of the, realistically, the Stone Cold thing is an outlier that I think people should consider. Like, I genuinely think people should consider, because that seems to be a direction that WWE is at least thinking about. They're not thinking about many directions at this point. It's either Cody, Sammy, or an outsider, which is a quote to quote Dave Meltzer. We'll see what happens. We got Film Nation Wrestling fan saying, did you get part 1 and 2 about Alexa? I believe I read that. MGT in the chat says, I was in my home village when I heard the news about Brody Lee with my farm. They knew who Brody, or my fam, excuse me. Then I'm thinking Briscoe's farm. With my fam, they knew who Brody was too. Yeah. Again, it's like a person who touches a lot of people's lives, and it's just a weird thing when they pass away, right? Anyway, I want to end this on a better note. I'm gonna actually let me actually look at the polling here, because I did some real take polling about who you guys think is going to win the Royal Rumble. So about 550 people voted in this poll, and the options were Cody, Sammy, Steve Austin, or other. We had Steve Austin clocking in at last place at 6%. Other in the place at 7%. Sami Zayn clocking in second place with a whopping 18%. And then Cody winning at home. The fans' choice to win the Royal Rumble. Cody Rhodes at a very nice 69% chance. Or at least 69% of you guys think Cody's going to win. It's going to be Cody. Again, the Stone Cold is a legitimate outlier, but it's going to be Cody. We got MGT saying it's either going to be Cody or Sammy. I'm not considering Stone Cold for a second. Hey, yo, MGT, I'm just saying, if he does show up, you're going to be hyped, right? You're going to be hyped. I know. Oh, my God. Stone Cold. That's the one dude. It's the one universal dude that shows up. Everybody gets lit, right? Everybody's like, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. No one gets a better pop. No one ever will get a better pop than Stone Cold. Everyone's on their feet, arms in the air, like, oh, like when that glass breaks, it is go time. But yeah, either way, it's the Rumble. Be excited. Worst case scenario, it's gonna be 10 times better than last year's Royal Rumble. Although you could argue you can't get 10 times worse than the last year's, or any worse, I should say, than last year's Royal Rumble. It's one of the worst Royal Rumbles in recent memory. But yeah, we will see, guys. I appreciate all of you. MGC says, of course I'm gonna pop. It's Stone Cold. Exactly. But I appreciate all of you guys who have tuned in. MGT, Film Nation Wrestling, The Wyatt Rabbit, Liam who showed up. We had who showed up? Maria showed up earlier. I'm sorry I didn't get that saying. Ooh, so everyone else who's joined us today. I really appreciate all of you guys. Be sure to leave a thumbs up on this video. It helps more people see the stream. YouTube's been weird about the algorithm lately, so definitely check out our content of in the archives as well, and go and spam the like button on all my videos. I don't know, but I appreciate all of you who've tuned in with your thoughtful questions. Trying to make this a very safe space for everyone, and trying to make sure that, you know, we keep our differences to pro wrestling. It's fine. But yeah, just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are all awesome, and I'll see you next time. Keep it real.